We're here in Concord.
Totally coffee and tea.
Totally tea. Yes, totally coffee and tea. How are you, Marissa?
I'm good. I just testified at the New Hampshire State. Sorry, I'm chewing on a boba now. Just testified for the first time at the state legislature here in New Hampshire against HB 155, which is a tax cut for the wealthiest corporations. So,
and how was it? Like, tell us about your experience, beginning to end. You know, how did it go?
I was nervous today, honestly, a little bit. I'm not nervous about public speaking, but I'm nervous about attitudes and people. You know, you never know what you're going to get in there. So I will say for folks, and I'm going to make a video about this later because it was really helpful. I worked a lot with the folks at Moms Rising on writing my testimony. They gave me some great edits, great feedback, and they also gave us a bunch of good instructions on where to park and where to go. And I'm the type of person when I'm doing this kind of stuff, I have the anxiety brain of I need to know where I'm going to park and I need to have answers to all the questions. And so groups like Moms Rising are awesome to help you prepare to do this kind of thing. So we're going to talk to Ken's. And you had your first experience testifying last week. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I didn't have all the things given to me. That's really cool.
You just went at it on your own.
Yeah, I didn't have any of the instructions or help. I just was you know what? I'm going to write a resolution and give it to my state rep, and it worked out. No, I'm really thankful to Moms Rising too, because I know I spoke to a few of their members today, and they're so helpful on so many different aspects. It's not any one part that they're not just worried about the resolution itself, they're trying to make sure that you're set from beginning to end and not have to stress out about anything. So I'm very thankful to them. For me personally, it was great. It was smooth. My state rep is Paige Boschman. She was the main sponsor for the bills or for the resolution, so she helped me a lot with the process. And then as soon as I was able to get it all in, it was really easy. The process itself was really easy. I thought I had to sign up ahead of time and do all this stuff, but no, I just had to show up, sign up on a piece of paper, right? Say that I was going to speak, and after about 20 minutes, I spoke, and that was it. And got some good feedback. It's on the YouTube. Your testimony will be on the YouTube as well, saved. Really looking forward to seeing it because it was really busy in there today, right? It was totally full. Yeah,
it was super packed. There's a lot of people there today to both testify and show your support. You also don't have to testify. If you don't feel comfortable, you can sign in, check a box that says I oppose or I support the bill. And you can just sit there and you can nod. I met some of my TikTok friends were there that I hadn't met in person before. It was great to see people there in real life, and people who were yeah, I didn't prepare a testimony. I just wanted to be here and show out. And it's important. I think right now we're in a moment where putting the pressure on and showing that people are paying attention is extremely important. So it's you don't have to speak either if you don't want to. There's a lot of ways to just show up and participate in this if you can.
Yeah, I think that's a super important point that you don't have to speak, right? A lot of people think when they're in that room, they have to speak. That's what people brought up to me too. They're if you're in the room, do you have to say something? And no, a lot of the people in that room don't say anything, actually. A lot of the people are in there just supporting, or very rarely do I see people, unless it's something egregious. I haven't been to something I'm opposing yet, so
this was an oppose.
Yeah, this is an oppose. Yeah. The room was stacked. Yeah. Right. And then for the support that I went to, it wasn't nearly as full. I think there's something to say about that too, about how important this corporate bailout bill was for the people, for a lot of us in New Hampshire talk. I think it affects everything, right? Regardless of what you care about in New Hampshire. If you do care about stuff in New Hampshire, you're going to care about a corporate bailout package to billionaires and to corporations. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're here. We've got a bunch of friends with us here today. We're in the loft. Let's let's brand this. We're in the loft at Totally Tea in Concord, and we got some of our friends here. So I'm going to start by bringing our friend Bridget up, and Bridget also testified today for the first time with a baby in her lap.
That's
right. Give her that mic.
Yes.
Sure. So thanks for being with us.
Hi.
Long-time listener, first-time caller. You might recognize Bridget from the comment section.
Yeah. First time appearing.
Yeah, I'm so happy you're here. It was so nice having you here.
Thanks.
Give us a little bit of an overview. Why did you decide to come today? And we'll talk
just
about your experience.
I'm sick of this. I'm so tired of. I work with kids, which is what my testimony was about today. So I spend a lot of time thinking about the future and the world that I'm creating for them. And what their childhood and growing up experience is going to look like. And I think that it's really, really important we keep the way that these things affect communities and specifically kids at like the forefront of our minds when we are trying to like build something in terms of politics, in terms of community, in terms of our world. Like that's ultimately who we're doing it for. So I wanted to really focus on that in the way that I see it affecting kids now and the way that I think it will continue to.
That's amazing. We love it. Nice to see you here, Bridget. It's always nice to see you in person. What got you in? So you're not a political, you didn't come from like a political spot, right?
Not really. I mean, I came from like a leaving angry comments on Facebook political spot, but I wasn't doing a whole lot that mattered a ton after like 2012, after we got Obama. I was like, check, we fixed it. We're good to go.
So
and it turns out I was mistaken, which I don't say easily.
What revved the engine? Like what's the thing that like got you to come back to be like, listen, okay, maybe we didn't figure it all out after 2012?
I think listening to other people outside of just myself, listening to other perspectives, and kind of learning to look at the big picture in the community instead of just the way my life is going. Because right now, like, I'm doing okay, but I don't feel like the world is, and I think I am like right on the brink. Like I'm one emergency from not doing okay, and I think that we have the means to make the world, make our state, make our towns a little bit better so that not as many people are like right on the brink of not doing so well. And we have the ability, and we, rather than using those resources, are just giving corporations another tax cut that could be used to like really rectify some things in our state.
It felt very silly. I'm curious your perspective on some of the conversations. And again, you did this for those who were not there, can you give a little context on the situation that you had today to get here?
So I'm a mom. I'm also a nanny. So I have a lot of kids all the time. I have between work and home, I have 5 kids that I'm taking care of day to day, which means I don't have a lot of time without kids. So one was with me today. I had a toddler with me who, like, thank God.
She was amazing.
She was just feeling really helpful today. Thank goodness for her. She did great. But I felt like this was something that was important enough and was enough of an impact on our communities and on kids like her that it was worth it to bring her down and make her sit through it. Thankfully, she was feeling compliant and it went really well. I didn't have to like make her do anything. But yeah, I mean, I brought her right up there to sit and talk with me. I wanted them to see that like, this is who you're affecting, the moms and the nannies and the people who are out there working with kids and the kids. I want you to have to look that in the face. And I think that's important.
Absolutely. It was interesting listening to kind of the deliberation and the conversations that happened in the lead up to like when we both gave our testimony.
Yes.
And I don't know. I'm curious if anything about it struck you. I think that was one of the things that was hard for me is people were saying things and I really wanted to be like jotting down notes and giving them rebuttals and stuff. But I'm not good at thinking on the fly like that. I feel like you're probably better at that than I am. But like I was like, just stick to the script, Marissa. Yes. Don't get excited.
I was so busy getting kids stuff ready that I forgot the stuff for myself. So I didn't have my printed out testimony, which is classic for people who work with kids. But I wanted to be like jotting notes down to add in. But I mean, I think it was fine. I think I said plenty.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what the discussion that was happening is it was very theoretical about a lot of individual representatives' opinions about what might happen because businesses might then come here and theoretically there might be these positive.
And to touch on that, like we've been making these tax cuts. That was a big part of my testimony is that like since 2015, the tax cut they're trying to cut another 0.5% off of has been cut from 0.75% to the 0.55 that we have right now. And that's like a 26% tax reduction over 10 years. We've done that, and then NHFPI, the New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute, had an article 2 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago, about the way that these existing tax cuts were taking money from places like our university systems, our veterans homes, our mental health care, and it was to the tune of like $400 to $720 million that we did not have in revenue because we had made these tax cuts. And they were talking about how our revenue has increased, which like, yes, technically is true, but it could have increased more. We could have had hundreds of millions more. They were talking about a $1.5 million revenue increase but you're also talking about a $400 to $700 million decrease. And we're drowning right now. We have school districts in danger of closing. We have towns that don't have reliable access to water. And the state of New Hampshire gets 31% of its total tax revenue from corporate tax payments. So when we're cutting that, that's almost a third of our tax revenue that winds up falling on us instead when we are already drowning. We're trying to find our footing and we're getting cut off at the knees.
Someone did her homework.
Yeah. As shout out NFPI. If you're not following NFPI, go follow them.
NHFPI.
NHFPI. Is there any? Yeah, New Hampshire. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we live.
Whatever. Hampshire. It's always new. All right. So, how important though do you? Okay. So, great points on the tax money, because they talk about revenue as if it's something that we all see. You know, who's seeing the revenue? Okay,
Right.
yeah, the businesses are, obviously, right? So there is this level where I feel like there's this disconnect from the public, from everyday people like you and me and Marissa. And I'm just curious, because there is this conversation right now, at least on the national level. I know something that, like in HHS with Kennedy, something that he just did recently is remove this kind of public testimony for, and don't quote me exactly what this is, but for certain like decisions HHS makes now, they used to have like a period of time where there was public testimony, and they're getting rid of that
Oh,
for
great.
obvious reasons, right?
I don't know anything about that, but that sounds horrible. Thank you for telling me.
So I'm asking you, what if they did that here in New Hampshire? I mean, how important is it showing up in person, in space, face to face with some of these politicians that are talking to you, pontificating from the internet, pontificating from their state house, but you show up to the state house and you're face to face with them having a conversation or telling them how this affects you? How important do you think that is when it comes to these types of resolutions, these types of bills?
I'm going to be so honest with you. I don't know how important it is. Like, I don't know how much of a difference it makes in the grand scheme of things. I have heard that it matters so much, and I have heard that it does not matter. And I'm just out here trying anyway, regardless. But what I will say is that it felt important to me. And it felt important to me to be holding a kid that I love very dearly, even if they are not my own, and to look Chairman Senator Lang right in his face and tell him that this is who you're hurting. You are choosing corporations over working families like me and workers like me and kids like her who are desperately trying to stay here in a place that we love and make it work, and you're taking that ability away from us so that we can give McDonald's and Home Depot another tax cut. It just doesn't feel worth it to me. I think that the kids and the education and access to water and libraries, I think all of that matters more than another corporate tax cut. They have the ability to pay far more than what we're paying, and we know that because when our economy was doing better, they were paying more. And we took away that revenue from ourselves, and we're the ones suffering from it. I shouldn't say we, I should say they took that revenue away from us, and we are the ones suffering because of it.
I think you're right. Looking these folks in their eyes.
It's a joyful child.
Looking these folks in their eyes is very important, I think, because there's a lot of this governing that happens out of public view or out of public scrutiny. And I think that's what we're trying to do here is bring that public feedback as much as we can, right? And there was a good turnout today.
There was a really good turnout. And I will, to the tune of looking people in their face, I will also say that not everybody up there was against us, right? Like that Senator Benton, something. He really was very supportive, and it also felt kind of hopeful to look at him in his face and know that somebody is also on my side. And that also felt reassuring in a way that sometimes I have really needed recently, to just hear from, representatives like Paige and Heath Howard and just a senator that I don't know and haven't heard of before looking me in my face and just making it seem like maybe it's not a waste. Maybe they are listening, maybe they hear us. And the more of us that come out and are there, the harder it is for them to look away and ignore it. So
the pressure matters. Thank you. I'm going to let you get back to that.
I'll go tend to that situation over there. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you also for the very affirming moment about just saying, telling me about the process that got you to take action. That's actually like my whole job and my whole MO. And so it feels so awesome to figure out like the niche that really works for me and for us, and what's working really well for our community is that online engagement, that community building. So thank you for contributing to that. And also I want to tell you that when people in my line of work are having a really hard day, because we are humans too, that like moments like today and times when we see our friends testifying, shout out to Red, who has been showing up at the State House quite a bit, despite having, chronic illness and all of that, like seeing folks overcome those fears, that is something that really keeps us motivated to keep doing the work. And so thank you for that. It is helpful. And so people came together today because we're tired of billionaires bullshit. And we know that life in New Hampshire has been really challenging for families. And so we can't sit idly by anymore while we watch them cut business taxes while the rest of us pay the price. And we, before the bill today, had a press conference with some of the Senator Fenton was there, and they had some members of the press. We had a mom there who was, telling a story that's not unlike all of ours, right? Which is that it's just too damn expensive to live here. And all that, her microwave broke yesterday. Her kids are going to college and they have no savings fund. And she can't afford to even move. Like there's no option for her because she couldn't even afford a new mortgage at a new mortgage rate. So she's stuck. So we have pushed people up against the wall for so long, and that pressure is bound to come down. And I'm really proud to be a part of the pressure and the organizing that has brought some of the people to this work. And so we're sharing power now, a couple of organizations who are doing this work really framed around keeping our lawmakers accountable for the things they say and do. We are organized now and powerful, and good luck to you. But the moms are watching, so. I got my own mic. Hey, great question. I've never seen anybody not engage again. Like I've never seen anybody walk away and say like that was too hard or too stressful or I had such a bad experience, I'm never doing this again. In fact, I see a lot more of people after, right? It's sort of that opening of the floodgates of overcoming that fear. Like I talk about it with my daughter at gymnastics, and she's trying to overcome a move on the bars where she's really scared, right? You just have to do it scared, and pushing that growth, pushing yourself through that growth is what's going to help you feel confident. And then it's like, great, now you can become the next person who helps the next person feel confident, and it's like that ripple effect. So, and I'll just speak to my own personal experience. Like I was a mom who showed up at the legislature once with someone like me who helped, and I work in it now and I get paid to do it, and so you can too. And it all starts with just showing up one time or knowing the right person or getting connected to your community, and we're here to be that as for you, but also other people are too, and we're gonna spread like wildfire, I guess. Yeah.
That's great.
I want to talk a little bit about pressure. I want to talk a little bit. Like you want to maybe share anything about that?
Yeah, I think that COVID really helped us in terms of technology, shine a light on the things that were happening at the State House that we didn't know about before, because the hearings weren't streamed. We didn't get to see all the things that were said. And so now that we have that, we have, full court access to the things that they're doing, which is obviously helping us create some of that pressure. One of the things that I go back to is something actually you said to me, is sand in the gears, right? Like despite some of the news that we're seeing, no matter what happens, it is a good thing to be sand in the gears, because that causes wear and tear, babe. And I have seen the impacts of this. Our lawmakers are reaching out to new organizers. They're talking to me about you all. They see your TikToks. They are on TikTok. They just don't want you to know about it. And I think, Senator Fenton came out of the hearing room after the testimony that everybody just gave and said thank you to a lot of the people, because I've been doing this work now for over a decade, and I never saw people like us at the State House. It was always the same lobbyists, the same sort of people who had the time. And now I'm seeing people like us talking about a whole host of issues, right? Not even just the ones that I care about. And so I know it's working. And if nothing else, that sort of accountability piece is so important, because if they're going to campaign and say they're going to do one thing, now we're going to show them and show the people that they're not doing what they say. And then we're going to take that information to the polls. So.
No, that's. But
we are moms.
Yeah, you are, absolutely, you are. So good at making people feel comfortable and safe and motivating them to show up for the right reasons. And I want you to talk more about Moms Rising and what you guys do in general. Sure. And about the organization, and just to educate people of the great work that you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that. That's really my goal, is to, like I said, and when we started talking, is to help people take that first step. And I took a step a year ago when Marissa invited me into her house into a house to record a podcast episode to kind of start talking about this. It was like a leap of faith, right? And so we're asking people to take a leap of faith and do something that can invoke a lot of anxiety. We're asking people to be in these sort of high conflict spaces with people who are 6 feet from you, looking you dead in the eye and telling you, don't read off your paper, look at my eyes.
Telling you to calm down.
Yes, or slow down, take a breath.
You got to tell us that story too.
But anyways, all that to say, New Hampshire advocacy, our legislative process, it isn't transparent, it's not very open. And so part of our goals at Moms Rising as a grassroots organization, right? So there are some organizations that focus a lot on, political advocacy, under the dome advocacy, and we're really focusing on the relationships. And so we start with the people rather than the ask or the bill, for example. So to your point about how we choose, we're really thinking about the people that we work with, the people in our circles, what are they going through? What are they experiencing? And then we sort of take the experiences of the many people that we know, the relationships that we keep, the community that we have, and say okay, where are the through lines? What are the things that maybe necessarily aren't covered by other orgs that we find, a good niche for us? Are they mom specific? Again, it's what affects moms? It turns out everything. Mm-hmm. So it can be challenging, but it really has to come down to what are people experiencing? Where's the sort of biggest bang for our buck? And with House Bill 155, when we talk about a $26 million hole in our budget, when they cut $51 million out of the back of the budget of DHHS because they didn't have enough money, it's the math doesn't math, babe. It doesn't make sense. So Moms Rising is moms and people who love moms and care about moms and who want to talk about issues that affect them. So we're not issue experts in every area. And if we're not, we want to support those moms in finding the people who are, so that they can get connected to the people who are already doing that work, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel. It doesn't have to be hard. We can just build community, and we can just pass people off, like, not to say passing people off, but like we can build a network of supported, well-supported community members and show up for each other. And it doesn't have to be like, us versus them. It can be Moms Rising and Our Economy, Our Future, and 350 New Hampshire, and Kent Street Coalition, and Planned Parenthood, and all the many amazing organizations that come together to do this work, who are now, I think, really stepping into our prime to support each other, and because we've just had enough.
It's a small state. For the first time trying to write a speech, what do those conversations look like?
Yeah, I think it's probably a misconception that the people in those rooms are waiting to trip you up. Like, maybe they are for someone like me who wears an orange badge, but for an everyday person who's coming to the State House to talk about their story, they're not going to trick you on your own story. And that's where folks are experts in their own stories and in their own experience. And so thinking about the ways this legislation impacts you and your community, or maybe your ability to work here and stay here, like really grounding it from your point of view, or the impacted community, humanizes the work, and it brings the issues down to the people level, where a lot of times I think lawmakers make votes and take votes because the policies don't necessarily connect to the people in their heads. But at the end of the day, our mom who is worried about buying her microwave that just broke with her 4 teenagers in her house, like that, I can tell you where some of those challenges came from, and they happened in those halls of that State House many years ago. I don't remember your question.
No,
I was on something.
On writing testimony.
Oh,
yeah.
So if you're going to write testimony, start from your experience. Think about how this piece of legislation is really impacting you, and also reach out. Like, there's so many organizations, people on TikTok who are doing this. Like, we're here to support you. I'm not here to be the grammar police. I really just want you to show up. I'm not mad at you, I promise.
I actually appreciated that. You guys were very helpful. I sent over my testimony. You went through it with a red pen. It helped clarifying notes, things like that. It was really, really helpful. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
To your point about the kind of disconnect between the conversations that are happening and reality, that is, I don't know how much you were paying attention to kind of the first part of the meeting. I know you were in and out, but what really struck me was it felt like we were having this theoretical conversation about a totally different planet, and we're just trying to lure new businesses over the border. And I'm like, my dudes, we don't even have schools for the people who live here. We don't have housing for the people who live here. We're not taking care of the people who live here. We're not making it functional to live in the state of New Hampshire. So I don't really give a shit. I'm sorry to the child in the room. I don't really give a shit if we're how does bringing in new businesses help with that when we can't even take care of the people who live here in a dignified way?
Who's going to work at those small businesses?
Who is going to work at those small businesses?
Who's they?
So it's all theoretical. I think it really struck me that there was pushback on the NHFPI data, which I thought was interesting.
This is interesting. Should we get into that just for a second?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's really interesting. New Hampshire Fiscal Policy Institute is a fantastic nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to non-biased information. There's an Economic Policy Institute arm in almost every single state. And their data is clean. Their researchers are non-biased. And so this sort of air that's come up about doubt about NHFPI, you can't just start doubting something because you don't like the data and the numbers that you're getting. That's not how data works. I mean, if you're upset, that's valid. Do something to fix it. But don't bring it down on an organization who's dedicated their entire lives and entire work ethic to providing non-biased data for the state of New Hampshire when we don't collect it as a state ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it speaks to a further, it's this anti-intellectualism that is kind of spreading around this country, right? Where it's you have facts and unbiased people in front of you, and you're questioning those numbers. It's just a whole other bag of worms.
Yeah.
But I guess I just lost my train of thought on my original question, so I'm going to give it back to Marissa.
I got you.
She's good. Thank you so much.
No, I because the piece about the data that I found really interesting is that we were expected to believe the sponsor of this bill was Representative Joe Sweeney, correct? I think.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how he just has all these conversations with people about all these people that have told him that they've moved their businesses to New Hampshire because of these tax reasons, whatever. And he just believes in his heart of hearts that based on what he thinks, more businesses will come here. So we are supposed to, and I heard that sentiment from several other people who are arguing on behalf of the bill. And that's what I, as a constituent, don't understand, is why I'm supposed to just trust your feelings over the facts. I actually prefer looking at data. So that was something that was really disturbing to me of why are we prioritizing a few of these individuals and their feelings about what might happen, as opposed to the data that we have that shows us what did happen when they've done this and what will continue to happen. So not really a question there. That was something that struck me from the beginning of this session.
Pop off, sis.
What actions do we want to be taking now? Let's wrap this up with a little bit of like CTA, talk a little bit about kind of, we've got the specific actions, call your senators, et cetera, et cetera. Can you talk about why that's important and why we need to do it kind of quickly and with intensity?
Yeah, so House Bill 155 is actually a holdover bill from 2025, which means it got paused essentially in the last session. And so it came into 2026 from last year because they didn't deal with it, and now are on a sort of tightened timeline to take action. And so it had its first vote on the first day of the legislative session on January 7th, and now we're in the Senate at its first committee hearing. There's a couple of places it can go from here, but now essentially the next real big stop is a full vote from the Senate floor. And what we're hearing is that senators are hearing from their constituents that this is a bad idea. And so we really need to keep up that pressure. If they don't hear from you, they think you're good. And so we're not good. Reach out. And you can email them, you can call them, you can get them on social media. Just find a way to get to them and tell them that this is not what you want to see for New Hampshire or your family. Then there's a couple next other options, but then it could land on AOT's desk, and where we would mobilize a whole other campaign to get her to veto this legislation. But for now, we're focusing on the Senate. They have the ability to stop it. They can kill it and end it now. So we're really looking to our members of the New Hampshire Senate to kill House Bill 155 because New Hampshire families deserve better.
Love that. Wrapped it up with a beautiful little button. Thank you so much. Mel, do you want to hop on or you heading out? Come in for like 2 minutes. Give us 2 minutes. Kens, thank you so much. You're the MVP. We appreciate you so much. We're going to get Mel in for just a quick second. Just do a little plug. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
How are you?
Great.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
I know you're on your way out, but I just wanted to talk to you really quick. Folks might recognize Mel from New Hampshire Talk. You are kind of you're one of the team of mods for the Discord. You do a lot of work there strategically. Tell us a little bit about the Discord for those who don't know. And then this is a little bit separate from the bill we're talking about today. But I think for folks who are maybe tuning in for the first time or haven't joined the Discord, if you're interested in this, you might like the Discord. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so the Discord kind of came about because we started noticing censorship on different platforms. And with the ever-changing internet landscape, we just kind of needed a space where we could safely kind of community talk, I guess you could say. So the Discord came about because I saw a need for community outside of TikTok and somewhere that the apps couldn't ban us from talking to each other. So the Discord, essentially, the New Hampshire Talk Discord, is a place for you to find and build community and find the organizations that best fit where you can help, where you can donate. It's a place where residents can kind of connect with people in their specific counties, talk about the bills that are coming up and different legislation. That's where Ken's will kind of come on and give us those call to actions, being like, hey, if anyone wants to come to Concord so-and-so date, this is what's happening. And it kind of just gives us that space to have the deeper conversations that you can't really have in a comment section.
And they're great points, and you've done a great job with the Discord. Seriously, I know it's it's not the easiest thing in the world, but it seems like you've got it up and running, and you've got a good team behind you now too. And really excited about the things you have planned. And I wanted to mention to people too that like you're planning on Discord being a one-stop shop for not just political stuff, right? Like it's just we're well, not that it's not politically related, but we're talking about doing gaming streams on there. We're talking about doing musical streams on there. We're trying to get as many New Hampshire, influencers or creators on there as possible. Talk to us a little bit more about that, what the long-term plan is there.
I believe that's what they mean by resistance or joy is an act of resistance. We can't just be focusing on the bad and all of the horrible stuff that we're up against. Like we kind of need to unplug and detach from the political news that is purposely being pushed to us, to overwhelm us, to scare us. So I would like a part of the Discord server to be that unplugged kind of relax, get some tea, let's game for a couple hours, let's talk about, different things going on in the state that don't have to do with politics. Let's get these political candidates to come on and talk to us about something other than their campaign. Like, what else are you able, can you share with us? What can we talk about? Which kind of leads me into tomorrow. We're kind of launching our first virtual town hall, with Karishma Manzoor, where we are going to be talking to her about activism, her previous activism, and kind of how you can get involved in New Hampshire and what volunteering for a political campaign looks like. So
I love that. And I'm going to give it back to Marissa, but the one thing I wanted to mention too is if you're watching this and you're thinking about joining the Discord, stop thinking and join it. Because, and if you like, there are other things you're interested in outside of politics, you want to just get in community with other New Hampshire people, do it. Because we are stronger together, and when you're alone behind a screen, you're lonely. That's the way they want you. They want you weak, alone, scared. Come and join us. We're a team, and Mel's got an amazing thing going at Discord.
Absolutely. I think that camaraderie piece is huge. And I think that's part of what was special about, the NH Talk Discord has gotten bigger now. We've got over 400 people in there. It's not just the little kind of group of us on TikTok that have all kind of found each other. But what I think is cool is we're all kind of acting as a magnet to pull in other people from different parts of the state. We got a new pet channel in there. Everybody's posting their cute ass little cats and dogs. But I think it's really important that we're all not, the conversations we all have with each other independently, this work we're doing, this isn't just about 2026 or the next round of elections or whatever. We are all people that are planning on being in here in New Hampshire in the long term. We are trying to build a better state, and we are not going away. So I know you're heading out the door. So tomorrow you're talking to Karishma, 7:00 in the Discord. The link is if you're depending on where you're watching this, you can find Melly. What's your TikTok handle?
New Hampshire Proletariat.
You know what you're going to get, baby.
NH, sorry. It's NH Proletariat.
Nice. And so she's got the link to the Discord in her bio. It's in my bio on TikTok as well if you're watching there. So join us. We'd love to hang out. Thank you for your work. Any last CTAs or anything?
This channel
for people?
too, right? NH Talk YouTube.
It'll be on
streaming
yes.
on the YouTube NH Talk. Yeah.
I actually just wanted to mention that Ken's was also who got me involved in direct action and coming to the State House, and she's who I call when I'm like, I don't know what room to go to or what to do, and she's like, just you can go in there and just sit. You don't have to talk.
She's all of our moms.
She really is, and I just want to give her a shout out because she was my entryway into getting involved locally like this. And my CTA is join the Discord.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Mel.
much.
I'm going to pull in Chantel next whenever you're ready. It's funny. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, Mel, you and me and Arya and Mel sat on my back porch. Come on in whenever you're ready. In the summer, and we were like, I think we need a friggin' Discord. Because people have wanted a place. Chantel, I'm so happy to see you.
Hello,
Thank you
so
for
happy to
joining
see
us.
you.
Chantel's with 350 New Hampshire, an incredible org. We'll have you talk a little bit about the organization.
Another fan. You got another.
The best vibe. This is exactly what I was like. Let's everyone just come, hang out. We'll see what happens. So thank you for being here and doing this with us. Tell us a little bit about today. What brought your group to the State House? To talk a little bit about, for folks who are just joining in now, we've been talking about House Bill 155 here in New Hampshire, just to recontextualize. for folks who are just joining in, can you tell us a little bit about this bill, why so many organizations are coming together today to encourage everybody here to call their senators and push back against this bill?
First of all, thank you so much for just everything that y'all have been doing. Like, have been following, love the content, even like pre-political content. Okay? Like, I'm a big fan, just so you know, can relate. Well, yeah, so I'm Chantel. I'm with 350 New Hampshire. We are a climate justice organization, if you don't know. We have been in support of opposing HB 155 since we heard about it. We joined onto a coalition with Moms Rising, who you've heard from, Our Economy, Our Future, Kent Street Coalition, a number of organizations, 603 Forward. Just trying to bring awareness to this massive, just corrupt bill. It's something that we've been highly focused on as an organization, especially when it comes to monopoly utility companies, but also that extends to monopolizations on like our Wi-Fi providers and like things like that. So like a big part of why we're here is like this bill would bring a tax cut to these wealthy corporations like Eversource, who are already, profiting so much money and continuing to up our electric bills. Like, my electric bill was just $400. It's me and one person. Like, I don't. So anyways, what brought me out was just like the kind of rage that I think that we all feel. It's like an undercurrent for the audacity of, first of all, this bill to be introduced, and second of all, for the House to pass it. So really it's just kind of trying to like ramp up this momentum that we've already kind of like put into place, so that more eyes on this, keep that pressure on the Senate, while also, holding the utility companies, Eversource, accountable.
Love that. And we just met today too. I loved our chat in the halls of the State House while we were waiting on some of the testimony. And I really loved hearing like your personal story a little bit about how you became an activist and how you got into organizing and what ultimately led you to 350. So I would love if you could just tell us a little bit about 350, more about what 350 does. I know we know it's a climate organization, but how exactly they choose how to get involved in certain resolutions and certain bills, and how you personally got yourself into 350 and what drew you to the organization.
Thank you so much for that question. I also very much enjoyed our conversation earlier. It was lovely. So I'll start with what brought me to 350, and I think that was I spent about a decade with the New Hampshire Democratic Party and with the New Hampshire House Dems. I, after so long, just realized that I was removed from community, from the public, I wasn't grounded into what people actually needed and wanted, and electing candidates wasn't necessarily bringing change that I was seeking. So it took some time, and 350 in New Hampshire and I just happened to find each other at a time that I needed it most, and it was just everything. I brought in, what I knew about politics, but I didn't know anything about grassroots organizing, about activism. Like, this is all new for me. I took the time to completely deconstruct who I am as like a cis-presenting white woman, and really just like get into trying to understand as well as I can how the people who are most affected by the corrupt policies, by, rich folk just doing whatever the hell they want, to understand where they're coming from, what they need. And there's just a massive disconnect. So with 350 New Hampshire, I found that they were trying to link that, right? They were trying to link what they gave a shit actually about like what people are facing. You're looking at coal plants, if you look at a map, are all centered around communities that are underfunded, disenfranchised, everything. So these things are intentional, right? They're poisoning us. They're using our clean water. And then they're just completely price gouging us in every way. So with 350 New Hampshire, we are trying to take little chunks out of this massive problem, but on a very like micro, hyper local level, if that makes sense. Absolutely. So like a big part of like, with this is like there's a lot of Make Polluters Pay campaigns coming around, and something happened in Merrimack, New Hampshire, and Representative Wendy Thomas talks a lot about it. There was a company called Saint-Gobain, and they have like chemical producer. Yep, and our youth team has been taking it up as a campaign, and seeking what they can do locally about getting water tested and more extensive water testing, because towns do water testing, but you can pick and choose what you test. So sure. I know this is a little off from the bill, but everything intersects, right? Absolutely. So I think that like background with 350, we do a lot of, activism. We do a lot of direct action work, which can look like, protesting. It can look like, putting, flyers all over cars or on door handles and buildings. Can look like, linking arms in front of, a city bank and, then, having to be removed. But that's just one part of it. That's one part of the organizing. The other part of the organizing is the advocacy that we do at the State House. Very picky and choosy on that. Just because we are, unfortunately, climate is not, the issue on the top of most people's minds. So with the State House and, the federal government kind of stacked against us, what we're really trying to do is just make change within community and like create community, bring community back together. And that, looks like advocating here for 155, but it also looks like trying to bring together for like potlucks and just like creating trust and not necessarily making asks, and like hoping that when the time for an ask comes that people feel like we're not just having a one-off ask like every election cycle or like every time something comes up and we're all like, oh, the world's on fire, but like they don't hear from us for 6 months again after that. Like it just, I think it's trying to be more present. Yeah, and I think I jumped all over the place. That's typical.
This is great. It's great. You answered it great. And I just wanted to, there were just really quick to double on that. I wanted to explain to people, Saint-Gobain, the building in Merrimack they're studying, increases in kidney cancers in Merrimack for people that have been living around that building. They think it was a textile plant. They think a lot of those chemicals got into the water supply, and they're thinking it might even be affecting Manchester at this point. They're not 100, but this is the type of thing that's happening in the background of building an ice warehouse in the same city, right? And they're trying to cut these taxes from these corporations, the same corporations that are poisoning us. It's just so fucking crazy. The part I wanted to just piggyback on that is you said something amazing to me, which not a lot of people I've heard say this. As someone who's currently working on a political campaign, as well as trying to be organizing and being an activist, you said it is so different to be a political organizer versus a issue organizer, like a community organizer. And I thought that was like so, like just an enlightening thing. And I'm like, you're so fucking right. It is completely different. And people think they're very similar. So I would love for you to just say a word about that to people, about how it is completely different. When people say, organize your town politically, it's a completely different message than organize your town in a community, in a issue style or community style way.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for touching on that. And, I'm happy that landed with you. I think because I spend so long politically organizing, it's grueling, right? I feel like for a long time, especially like pre-pandemic, like there was a small sense of community, I felt like, especially like when I was running like out of the Manchester office, and the candidates would come in and like we'd have massive canvas launches. So it was volunteers, it was candidates, it was us, it was people. There was like candidates coming from out of state, like I can't remember his name right now, but he was from like, I don't know, Utah or Idaho or something. It was wild. But they would all come in and like they'd pick up, and I'm gonna shout it out right now, I'll name drop, I don't care. Matt Willem used to walk in, this is his first ever, when he first ever ran, would walk in and he'd pick up his packet, because this was all, none of this was digital then. That's how long ago it was. It was all paper, and they'd go out and they'd knock on these doors. Well, this was like, I'd be working 6-7 days a week. Like they're talking to people on the doors. It wasn't necessarily led by humanity. It was led more towards like persuasion, trying to get an answer, how are you going to vote, this, that. And when I decided to make the switch, I was looking for the type of organizing where you could connect with people. It all leads back to connecting. And so the issue organizing, the advocacy organizing takes a lot of patience. It takes time. It takes, you can't just ask people to show up for you. You need to get to know people, get to know what they're comfortable doing, what they're comfortable not doing. Establishing essentially like a baseline, like a relationship. And it's, I think the easiest way to say it is how I felt was, when I was politically organizing, it felt very transactional. And this style of organizing, the way that I ask volunteers or even my team to, like, when we think about organizing, it's not transactional. It's not, I'm going to call you and ask you to do something for me. It's, let's get to know each other and let's try to, like, what are you concerned about? How can we work towards something together? Okay, maybe someone reaches out to us, but it's not necessarily, a climate justice necessarily issue, but they're looking for like what they can do. Well, now I have all these connections because we have all these beautiful coalitions starting to come together that I can hand them off. Absolutely. So there's a massive difference, and it definitely feels like in political organizing, it's temporary, right? It comes around. We hear that a lot the last couple of sessions where people are like, oh, my phone was blowing up for 2 months and now it's been silent for 6, so Dems don't need me right now, or the Republicans don't need me right now, or whatever, you know what I mean? And I have been really thinking about that in our own organizing and fundraising, is I'm like, we can't just show up and ask people to do things or for money and then expect them to like not feel some type of way about it, right? Like we also need to show up for them, right? Like we need to be giving back.
That's a whole other topic that I'm not sure we have. This whole idea about like, seriously, I could talk about this forever. This idea that like, seriously, a month or two where we're just spending time like, convincing people to show up to the polls, and then we're just like shaming them for losing the election for the next 6 months, even if they voted a certain way. But I want to know what else is 350 working on right now? Are there any other big resolutions coming up that you guys have your eyes on? Are there any issues in general outside of, I know it's generally just climate justice, but are there any individual resolutions or bills that we should keep our eyes open for? And do you guys need any help? Are you guys looking for volunteers and stuff to show up to these things too? Can they show up to the website and look for opportunities there?
Yes, please. You can check our website and sign up for our newsletter, 350nh.org, please. You can also follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, whatever you're on. We're not really participating too much in the legislative session this year, based on how I mentioned, with everything being stacked against us, and there's not much we can do. So we 155 is what we have our eye on now, and then we are in support for the coalition. If there is something that comes to anybody's attention that you feel like we should speak on or we should speak out about, like, feel free to share it with us. Reach out. It happens all the time. And I'm happy to check it out, help advocate. I also am really happy to help anybody and advocate doing online testimony, because they don't make it easy. The website, other than that, like we have our youth interns, summer interns. So that's going to be coming up. We also have like our youth team is doing a lot around Ice Out, and with the recent high school walkouts that we saw today, be on the lookout this afternoon for more content around that. And then, we're a lot of de-escalation trainings. So like really, if you visit our website, you're going to see all of this, but like we do de-escalation, nonviolent direct action work. And this is all very much like how to be safe when you're going out there, regardless if it's protesting, regardless if it's an action, regardless of what it is. We're happy to help with that stuff. We're also ramping up our utilities campaign. We're gunning for Eversource to stop, like, or to implement a shut-off policy, because they can just shut off someone's power, whether it's the coldest day of the year or the hottest day of the year, whether they have a ventilator, whatever it is. So we're ramping that up. You'll see us. We have a knock every door campaign. So as soon as the weather clears up, we knock on everybody's doors. So if you see us with our little 350 logo or pin, it's just us, and we're coming to just talk to you about what you're concerned about. Like, if you're not comfortable with talking about your utility bill, don't worry about it. But if you're pissed off about how it fluctuates or your rent or whatever, girl, same. Trust.
You guys are sincerely like the badasses. Like, I feel like everyone I've met that I've dealt with at 350, like, you guys are fucking putting yourselves out there in a very real, substantial way to like make life better for all of us. And so I really appreciate all of the work that you guys do. And sincerely, like, this is such a great organization to get involved with. If you're listening and you're like, yeah, this resonates, please reach out to Chantel or anybody at 350. They're amazing. Last kind of question for you, and then I'll let you go, is we have a lot of folks watching who are starting to pay attention to this stuff for the first time and starting to really track kind of what's happening here on a state level, from an activism perspective, and also from, you know, the political side. Generally speaking, what kind of advice do you have for somebody who's watching this, who's feeling like, I talk to people every day that are just like, I'm just doom scrolling and I'm like, I don't even know what to do with this like emotion and stress and overwhelm and sense of despair. Can you talk a little bit about like, how do you have those conversations with people in your life? What do you tell them?
Well,
taking baby steps, maybe.
Absolutely. And it's ironic that you asked this, because it is, I've had several conversations with my mom being one person, but with several people in my life, both professionally and personally. I have been leaning on acknowledging, like, first step we have to do is acknowledge what's happening. This is not a normal time. It's okay to feel that. You're right to feel that, and you're not alone in feeling that way. And as someone who self-isolates, although I am a freaking social butterfly, I am also a wallflower, and I also love to hibernate. So I understand it feels safer inside, but I can tell you right now, even though I feel safer inside and in self-isolation, I feel so much better to go back into it after I've been with my people. And that's not just like, you know, I don't see these people every day, right? Like, this is our first time actually hanging out, but like, there's people in the background that I see, you know, once a week, every couple weeks, that I genuinely, like, when I leave a room with these people, I'm feeling, even if we didn't have a conversation where sometimes I don't like what I'm hearing, okay? I don't want to hear what I'm hearing, all right? And I'm pissed off, but when I leave, I still feel really good about the fact that these people are also feeling this similarly and on the same page. It makes all the difference, community, and that is what we're trying to build. I don't know. I don't have the answer as to what that looks like. Does that look like, I was talking earlier with Arya, and we were saying, like, does that look like cooking, just like all of us getting in the, like, cooking a big meal together and then sitting down and eating it? Like, what does that look like? Or like a few of us cook and then a bunch of us are eating together. Just finding community, finding a space where you can share how you're feeling and share your experience in a safe, like, place, I guess. I that is where I've been going. I also think, like, to take action, one thing I've been doing is putting a list together for my mom for the things that she can do that don't require being on the front line. Those things are as simple as, like, you can volunteer to be on our media team. You don't have to leave the house if you don't feel comfortable. You don't have to talk to people. There are plenty of things that can be done in the background. And if you don't feel comfortable asking, I'll come to you. I don't know.
There's so much work I'm seeing, even in the last few weeks, as things are getting intense in different areas. I'm seeing so much organizing happen. And there's so many opportunities for people to do work, support these people without putting your body kind of on the line. There's like opportunities for research. There's opportunities to help, draft Arya drafted a bill last, like there's all these ways to get involved without actually because we have folks who have all kinds of different people with young kids or people who have just, who aren't physically able to for whatever reason. So there's so much opportunity. And yeah, please reach out to these guys if you're interested. It's an amazing place to start. And like you've hit this point home as well. These groups are all connected too, right? And so it's like once you start getting involved, it's like the whole world opens up. So right now it feels like you're alone, and I hear from people all the time that they're like, no one thinks how I think, no one feels how I feel. Everyone in New Hampshire feels this way. It's not true. There are, even in red areas, there's people that are fighting that fight, and they need to see you, they need to know there's other people as well. So anyway, thank you so much for being here. Any final last words, CTAs, anything you want to shout out while we got you here?
This makes me want to do an ASMR.
Do a little. You got the nails for it.
There's a spinoff. That's a spinoff.
Yeah, you want to do it in the Discord? We can do a little.
No, I'm dead serious. Like, bring me back anytime. Like, I love to yap if you couldn't tell.
Yeah,
so, like,
yay!
Ask me all the questions, and I'll ask you. I have questions for y'all too. So.
Do you want to shout out your TikTok handle while you're on here?
Girl, I have no idea what it is. I think it's at Chantel RIO, it might be. So CHANTELLERIO. Anyways, it's going to be tagged in their posts if you go on their page.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
I'll figure out a username that I'll remember, I promise.
Right. Thank you
so much.
Thank you. I'm going to get Arya boba tea over here, falling asleep.
Jeez, no, yeah, but it's the boba. I didn't get the boba. That's the problem.
I know. We got to get you a boba before you leave.
Unbelievable.
All right, we got Lucas next whenever you're ready. Come on in. No rush. Take your time. Meander on in.
Absolutely.
Chantel's so cool.
Yeah, super
Fuck. You're so cool. Oh, my God. Hello.
Hi, friends.
Oh, my gosh. So we literally just met. I don't know if you've met Arya. Well, now he's gone. He's leaving.
Sorry, I'm just making sure
There he is.
swearing in my TikTok.
He's got an unmoderated feed over there.
Nice to meet you. Thanks for having me on, friends.
Thank you for just like coming right into the chaos. I appreciate it.
Such a treat. This is a real gear shift from me. I was just guest hosting Jack Heath's radio show for the past 3 hours, which is basically conservative talk radio. So I'm always very grateful that he lets me guest host sometimes, because we get to try and reach out and have a different conversation with those folks, and I think they're used to. So this is a welcome change of pace.
That is
for my
actually.
day.
Can we spend a moment on that? So
Yeah.
you're saying he's just coming from co-hosting a conservative talk radio show.
I mean, not my show is not the conservative, show. But yeah, Jack, I've been.
Arya was like, I didn't prep for this interview.
Well, like I grew up here. I've been doing political campaign work, advocacy work since 2012. So Jack Heath, who is the host of the show, I actually used to do a segment with Sarah Stewart, who is the Commissioner of Natural Resources and Historical Preservation, who has been in the news a lot the past 2 days. We had a segment called Agree to Disagree, which was sort of like the Democrat versus Republican take, but like civilly and have a normal conversation, which was like such a quaint idea at the time. And since then, he's just been like, yo, if you just like want to keep coming on, you can. So every Thursday, we do like 15 minutes, and like I'm his like token Democrat operative lib that he has on. But like, and like I played football in college, and I coach high school lacrosse, so we talk about sports sometimes. But then, we'll start talking about like health insurance costs being too expensive, and he's with me. Like he's like, yeah, it's crazy. And then it's just where our solutions are where we diverge, and we bicker a lot about taxes and about the economy. But there is it kind of gets to I think an interesting thing to the hearing today with corporate tax cuts, which is really about the economy and what everyone feels, which is what's the rule on swearing?
Go for it. We love it. Yeah.
Please.
Cool. Yeah, I like to.
We need to lead with that for people. Yeah,
I know. I got a little too loose with the Granted Post Twitch stream, so they had to do a lot of bleeping.
I would have thought they were cool.
They are cool. It was the frequency of bleeps which made it hard.
That's fair.
Which is I got to reel it in, but that people feel like the economy is rigged against them, right? And we were just talking with Chantel about how do you keep people wanting to do this work or like motivated. It's like acknowledging that reality and not being like, no, it's not, like there are some good things that are happening. No, it's be like, no, it is rigged. Like housing is out of reach. Childcare is absurd. Like all of these things are dumb and they don't have to be, but these are like choices. Now, where it gets hard is like the conversation we're having today in the legislature, where like the broadest and bluntest tool we have at our disposal to help people, and that's like generally, I think why we're all doing this is like we have this crazy insidious agenda of like wanting to help people. Like that's a common like thread here. And if we think of like how do we do the broadest and most good, like what is the bluntest tool at our disposal? It's the tax code. And like it is rigged against us. Like it's not a coincidence. And I go to Newport Folk Fest every year, and I always like drive by the Breakers, which is all like the turn of the century, like Victorian big. Like everyone's like, wow, the wealth, and you're like, oh word, it's worse now. Like that shit looks quaint compared to what's happening now. The difference is they don't build them in Newport; they build them in New Zealand, away from us. So for like their doomsday bunkers, but the top 1% control 32% of the wealth in this country. Bottom 50% control 2.5%. Like, it's fucked.
Can I pause you? Can I just pause you for a second? Because I love where we're coming in. Like, I fucking love this energy. I'm so glad we've met now. You're amazing. We're going to talk for hours. Not today. People have to go home. But I just want, for people who are just tuning in, can you just like give a little bit of context?
Hi, I'm a tornado.
It's okay. This is my job to.
My bad.
Give a brief little intro on who you are.
For sure.
And again, people, we're streaming live, so people are kind of coming in and out. Tell us a little bit about who we're doing, what we're doing today, why we're here, and then we can get back to the bunkers because I would love to get into bunkers. I think Arya would also really like to get into
I do get wicked jacked up about this stuff. Lucas Meyer, I grew up here in Concord. I live in Manchester now. I have been doing political organizing, nonprofit advocacy, lobbying work since 2012. I went to college out in Ohio, and I graduated on a Sunday morning and then drove home overnight and interviewed at the state party I didn't know what I was applying for. I was either going to join the Marine Corps or do this job, and I ended up running a state senate campaign for Andrew Hosmer in an open state senate seat in 2012, which was crazy. Just like really sent off to like Laconia to figure it out, which was cool because I did. And also learned that like in New Hampshire, your impact, your ability to drive work has a disproportionate like impact. Like as a 21-year-old running a state senate race, like Andrew Hosmer wins that seat. In 2014, they passed Medicaid expansion in New Hampshire, which at the time was good, felt good. In retrospect, thinking of how volatile the ACA politics were back then, for a Republican like split controlled state to pass Medicaid expansion on a bipartisan vote like was remarkable. And like he was, now every senator will say they were the deciding vote. He was the deciding vote, right? Now, like, was it my campaign acumen that got Andrew Hosmer elected in 2012? No, Barack Obama was on the ballot. It was like a generational candidate, but it gave me a little taste of like what it is to do the work in the state. And I haven't like looked back since. I did like 7 years of like straight campaign work. I was president of the Young Dems from 15 to 20, which was, it's fun. It's fun. It was fun. It was a lot of work. At the same time, I was doing a lot of like consulting work for like straight up did work on an energy project that was not values aligned, a pipeline project. Learned a lot about energy. Learned a lot about what I did and did not want to work on. But at the same time, was doing also like a lot of voting rights work. Was a voting rights lobbyist for the Redistricting and Voting Rights Coalition for a while. And I was president of the Young Dems. Like, you're not paid to do it, so you're kind of like, make of it what you will, and was able to like raise money, leverage all these presidential candidates so that we could have full-time staff, help all these young people running for office. That was like my master's in like how to build organizations and like how to raise money, build a plan, build a vision. I co-founded 603 Forward with Liz Wester in 2020. So that was something we both thought of as like, hey, she helped a lot with Young Dem stuff. And then we were like, we could probably build a nonprofit that could be more sustainable to help young people get plugged in, not only to state office, but local office. I hope you all are familiar with 603 Forward, great organization. Heck yeah. So that was like maybe my PhD. because these are all volunteer gigs. Like this is just like, and at the same time, I actually work across the street at Pretty Flaherty. I have my own public affairs, government affairs consulting practice. But that kind of taught me how to scale up a nonprofit. Our Economy, Our Future, which is my current big project I'm working on, is like the amalgamation of all those experiences. This time it's like actually part of my job to run, which is much bueno. Volunteer work is great. It also is hard. And just like, want to be doing values aligned work. So I spend a lot of time as the founder and senior advisor for Our Economy, Our Future, which really seeks at its core to address the feeling that we all have, which is working people are working harder than ever, getting less. And everyone looks around and wonders why. And it's like, it's our tax cut. It's like how many, at the end of the day, it's how many bucks we have at the federal and state level, because like the average person does not delineate their federal taxes from their state taxes. It's just taxes. Guess what? It's the same bullshit at the Trump budget as it is with the AOP budget. Tax cuts for billionaires and millionaires, tax cuts for multinational corporations, and then cuts to services. Cuts to services. So Our Economy, Our Future, very big, very broad mission, deliberately so, because this work is going to take different shapes depending on the moment. Sure. So like right now, things are real bad. And they're going to make it worse by cutting corporate taxes again. Because guess what, folks? Trickle-down economics super works. It's been working so well the past decade. They're going to keep doing it. This is the one. Folks, this is the tax cut that is going to unleash so much this 0.55 to 0.5 reduction. Buckle up for prosperity, folks. If you thought things were cooking, wait till you get $28 a month back at your local bookstore. Like, preposterous. But what I think a lot of people don't appreciate, because we still live in New Hampshire, live free or die, for sure, whatever. No sales tax, no income tax. Fine. At the same time, we are then disproportionately reliant on property taxes, which we all pay, and corporate taxes, which we've been cutting. I don't think a lot of people know that the lowest income people in New Hampshire pay 300% more of their income on their taxes than the top 1%. So, the New Hampshire advantage does exist.
Can you say that one more time just to be crystal clear?
Yeah.
So, like the lowest 20% of New Hampshire income earners pay 300% more of their income on taxes than the top 1%. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. And I think when we talk to people about this, it does make sense to them. The problem has been in New Hampshire, no one is making the case there. And this is somewhat born of like when I was running that first state Senate race, there was a very quick message instilled in me as a young operative. We will vote against a sales tax and an income tax. Got it. We don't support that. Then what the fuck do we support? And I have long wondered like why we keep in election season, like Our Economy, Our Future is a 501c3, do not support and endorse candidates in elections. However, as a person that lives here, like I've wondered why when we go to election season, like to what end are we doing this? Like we don't win elections to win, you win elections to govern. And my operating assumption to the start of this conversation is people run for office to help people. I like to think, I hope, that's the hope. Not always true, but that's the hope. And if you're gonna help people in New Hampshire, you have to find ways to deliver economic mobility to them. And I think what people are feeling in like the real like, I did a lot of voting rights work and still do a lot of voting rights work. And I love that because that is like your power in government. Like we protect your right to vote because that is how you speak out. But what the fuck are you getting? And that is like part two. It's like protect your right to vote and then give them something excited to vote for. Whoa, we're this beautiful child here. Like, why aren't we bending over backwards to make sure like that kid has an opportunity that like every person should have, which is like when they go to school, they can eat, that her mom can go to work and put that kid in childcare and that kid can be safe for the day. Like these people will be like, you scummy fuck.
You communist.
And it's like, what are you talking about?
You communist.
Like we've done this. Our country has done this quite successfully. 40s to Reagan, the Great Compression. Like we have lived in this place if we just restored, so obviously tax cuts for the past decade, if you're a millionaire, billionaire, it's great. You're getting a lot of money back. If we put the tax rate back to what it was a decade ago on the top 1%, that would be like $132 billion. We could have universal child care with that money.
Yeah.
Like, crazy. And the tax code is complicated and people don't like talking about it, and that's like the point. They don't want, like, why doesn't like a janitor give a fuck about the interest and dividends tax getting eliminated? Because what the fuck is it?
Yeah, no idea how it works.
What is it?
Absolutely.
Because they don't pay it.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
if you switch on your, I don't know, maybe this is like my thing in New Hampshire, but like every house I've lived in New Hampshire, whenever I flip on the fan in my bathroom, it sounds like a 747 taking off.
Yeah.
If your fan sounds like that, you're not going to know what the interest and dividends tax is. And that's okay. But you should know that when they got rid of it, 40 families are making a shit ton more money off your back. And like we need people like delivering that message. And that's why like we work with 350, we work with Moms Rising, because our economy, our future is not here to like replace anything. It is just to like be the sort of like glue between the infrastructure to make sure like when we're talking about corporate utilities and we're talking about needing to get parents childcare and we talk about needing affordable housing and we talk about substance misuse and we talk about public safety, we talk about roads and bridges, we're talking about taxes. At the end of the day, you're dealing with a committee of conference in the legislature in a budget year in late June where you hope to God a bunch of volunteer geriatrics hold the fucking line. And we are like, and we have to build community power so when their butts are in that seat in the summer and it's hot and they're sweaty and they don't want to be there, they know very clearly what their mandate is. And this is where I think we have to like reimagine a little bit of advocacy in New Hampshire, where we are, and I love our legislators, but we need to like make it undeniable what we want. And like the we is like working people. And like, what is the investment in childcare we want? What is the housing investment we want? What is the healthcare investment we want? And you're asking Chantel about like, what is your message to people? It's like, what do you want? And tell us. And tell your elected official. Like the great curse of New Hampshire is I think some of our elected officials begin negotiations with the compromising position. They start from the middle. We need to start from what we want. Whether we get it, like, did Trump build the fucking wall? No. But what did he talk about all the time? Build the wall. Build the wall. What do we want? Fight for it so that all of us out in the community are like, that's what we want. We're fighting for it. We're all on the same page. But like what those big policy pillars are, what our economy, our future like is going to try and figure out is like, tell us the price tag. We'll figure out a progressive, popular way to pay for it where we can go out and tell people we're not raising your taxes, but we are raising taxes on millionaires. We are raising taxes on Jeff Bezos and Amazon. And getting people comfortable with that. So this is like not a 6-month project. This is like really like, I mean, my brain kind of goes to 2032 and stops, because I also think part of this is if we do a better job of answering this economic question, that'll put the right people in power for the next time we redistrict. And I think if we have fair maps, we will have a fair economy. And I think those two things go hand in hand. And like, there is an insidious agenda at play, and it's like to keep us all distracted from like getting that representation back. And that is like the real like North Star is like, let's get some good economic policy going. Let's talk about how we're paying for it in a really progressive, popular way. And then let's have the right people in power so when we redraw our maps, we can like actually live in a representative democracy. That's it. That's simple.
No big deal. No big deal. No, I get
I'm
it.
ready.
I get it. Listen, I love the energy, brother. I love that we met too. I know we're going to be doing a lot of work together in the future, but you touched on something that I talk about all the time, which is messaging. Right? I think 90%, 95% of the problems Democrats have or the left has is messaging a lot of these things, selling the things that they're good at, bashing the things that they hate. And my question for you is, have you thought about, I mean, I know you talked about a little bit that's the plan, but when you talk about progressive policies to people and you remove the D or the R in front of the name and you just give it to people, people love it. It doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on.
Yeah.
And I find it like, again, I'm having these conversations with real people where they're against
They're for this tax cut, and their reasoning is the same trickle-down bullshit we've been hearing, the same like, oh, these corporations want to come here, even though there's no truth in corporations coming to places where there's a low tax rate. That's why all Silicon Valley is still in California, one of the highest corporate tax rates in the country. It's not in East bumfuck North Dakota, where there's no tax rate. So
a lot of millionaires and billionaires living in New York City and Los Angeles.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question is, how do you get over it? I'm arguing with 22-year-old kids who might still be under their mom and dad's health insurance, who don't know how tax revenue work and are telling me, well, no, this is how businesses work. We need to get the companies here, and how we get the companies here is cutting their taxes. And you're like, there is no dimension in which that is happening. So that conversation is where, what do those conversations sound like to you? I mean, how are you navigating that with those types of people who are not letting the information kind of like seep through, right? They've just heard talking points and they're repeating them.
Well, my buzzy title here is like we're up against like the Wealth Protection Network. So the messaging that you're talking about like is just ingrained. It's like Reagan era Fox News, and like the reality of it is like I think back to like how like Clinton talked about like the whole narrative of like government efficiencies and cutting, and that there's always something inherently wrong with government doing something. Like that is just pervasive through the like every bit of the ecosystem. That's also why I think this is like the fight and like the righteous fight. I love doing voting rights work because I can just be like a righteous prick. Like you don't have to give anyone an inch because you're just like, we're talking about voting rights. Get bent. Like there's nothing you can tell me that's going to make me feel like, well, maybe we do need more voter suppression. Like nothing. This is the same thing where like you cannot tell me the working man has been getting too much for too long. You can't tell me that like that single mom who now has to pay a Medicaid income tax because of Kelly Ayotte, who sat on the board with Lachlan Murdoch of News Corp, who's been making millions of dollars in stock investments. Like, you can't tell me that what they're doing is helping people, but we have to break through that, like, monolith of, like, pretty traditional, like, narrative about our economy, which is why, like, our economy, our future is not, like, a 6-month project. Like, and also why it's not alone. Why it's, like, it's like, everyone. And, like, this is everyone's problem. Because everybody needs cheap. Everyone understands this is like an affordability crisis. So really it is about triangulating. Is that the right word? Coordinating, or at least trying to get, like when we get to the next state budget, everyone, instead of fighting for their slice, needs to be fighting for a bigger pie. And right now, the fight is like nonprofit on nonprofit, issue area on issue area, fighting over a shrinking pie that's only getting smaller. Revenues came out today. I'm sure everybody had their Google alerts ready for New Hampshire DRA. But like corporate revenues are down again. It's been like a trend for a year, and we're cutting corporate taxes, and we are the most, I think either the most or second most reliant state on corporate taxes in the country. So I think another really important way for us to get into people's brains on this is your property taxes. And part of the narrative organizing goal of today's hearing for HB 155, the big corporate bailout bill, is that cutting corporate taxes means raising your property taxes. Right now, the narrative is the traditional narrative. I'm not saying this is what it actually is, but the traditional narrative in New Hampshire is that Republicans oppose a sales tax and income tax, and Republicans always say that Democrats are going to impose a boogeyman sales tax or income tax. Quick subbar. No, it's regressive. Like that's not the solution that I've ever heard of as a good one, because working people are going to have to pay more taxes. That's not 300% to 1%. Let's get even there before we start talking about that stuff, which like not it. Also, we have a sales tax. It's called the rooms and meals tax. Put that to the side. Property taxes. This is our I don't say gateway drug. That's bad. This is our like gateway to have the conversation with people, to be like, okay, I'll believe everything you say about Republican leadership. Why are your property taxes still going up? They've been in power for a decade. What are they doing? What they're doing is cutting revenue, cutting services, which towns and cities still need to pave their roads, still need to do their services. So where do they pick up the tab? The only place they can, property taxes. So you're going to start to see the shift, world, where the Republican elected leaders are going to start saying it's your mayor's fault, it's your city councilor's fault, it's your school board's fault, they're irresponsible, they have bloated budgets. Nah.
It's happening already.
Yes. This is the tax cap stuff. They're going to say, they've actually started to, in their messaging, admit the New Hampshire advantage does mean a increased pressure on property taxes. But like, that is like, you want to do polling about what people in New Hampshire really don't like is their property taxes. And if we can go to them and say, you know what, we're going to make childcare more affordable, make housing more affordable, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Now we got to figure out what those things are. And we're going to do it by making sure Amazon, Walmart, all these multinational corporations just pay what they owe. Absolutely. We can do it. But the only failure in this plan is timidity, is being shy, is being nervous. Like, what are we doing? We're fighting for working people. So fight.
I love that, and that brings us back to where I think I want to wrap up pretty soon here. But in terms of, we're talking about this pressure, talking about timidity, talking about not being bold enough to kind of just have these tough conversations. People that are watching, we've got a lot of folks who are really tuning into what's happening here in New Hampshire for the first time and are like realizing all the stuff that you're talking about and is like, holy shit, this is really intense. With this bill specifically, what's the ask of people? And then more broadly, like how, if somebody's sitting on the couch doom scrolling, what kind of advice do you have for people like that as you come across them in real life?
For sure. So with this bill, every member of the New Hampshire House, so not all 400, but most of the legislators voted on this bill already. Democrats stay united in opposition, and 6 Republicans joined those Democrats. So one of the things you can always do is ask your state rep how they voted. And if they voted no, ask them why they want to raise your property taxes and make things more expensive for you. And if they voted yes, they say thank you. This bill is now in the state Senate. It's important for people to know this is not a done deal. The vice chair of the committee, Keith Murphy, no friend to the movement, said in December that he thought this might be a 23-1 vote against. That was at an Americans for Prosperity event in support of the bill. I imagine, speaking of the Wealth Protection Network and their billionaire backers, I imagine Americans for Prosperity got their talons into Senator Murphy and said, shut the hell up, we're passing this. Kelly Ayotte did not include this in her budget, has not supported this cut in her budget. So talk to your senator. If your senator is on Ways and Means, which means if your senator is Keith Murphy, Tim Lang, Victoria Sullivan, Donovan Fenton, or Cindy Rosenwald, don't let you tell you concussions mess up your memory. Reach out to them, especially. They'll have a committee vote at any point in the next 2 or 3 months. Their New Hampshire legislative process is lawless. So reach out to your senators, have the conversation with them. And this is a tax cut bill, but this is really an everyday cost bill, because this is shrinking the funding we have at the state level to stop bad things from happening and to invest in things that people want. So this is, to me, people I think are intimidated to engage in tax policy, but that's just what the Wealth Protection Network wants you to think. This is really about anything that you are frustrated about: housing, energy costs, childcare, groceries, anything. You can tie it to this fight, and you need to tie it to this fight, because if we're ever going to do anything good in the legislature, it is going to involve raising revenue to help working people, which I think is exciting and something to rally to. We're going to have to build that party a little bit and let people know this is the fight to be in, because again, to the start of this, why do we do this work? To the intersectionality of it, you want to talk about helping our Black and brown communities, put money in their pocket. Trans community, LGBTQ community, a lot of poverty in those communities too. Let's get money in their pocket. So this is really being intersectional doesn't mean listing all the issues all the time, but it does mean where can I deliver the most good for that community. And tax code's unsexy for a reason, but our job is to make it sexy, do the organizing, communications work, do the governance work with all of you. The last thought I have here is it's amazing what you can get done when you don't care about who gets credit. And this long-term success of and people throw around movement a lot. I'm super fucking in. We have to, but that involves hope and inspiration and like and like I'm a high school lacrosse coach, and like I don't start the season being like we're not going to win the championship.
Yeah, for sure.
We're gonna go 2-8. No, like you go in with does it happen? Probably not. But like you don't go into it
Right.
relegated.
go with that.
You need something to be excited about. So like we're gonna be trying to figure out in the next couple months here, like what can we get excited about that we can actually do in the next legislative session that is big, bold, and possible. And like let's build like a multi-issue campaign together, like Moms Rising and 350. Youth Movement, RAD, Ken Street, all been part of our campaign calls on this. But like in a coalition, in a movement, if you're not growing, you are managing your descent. So like we always got to be growing. We always got to be figuring out new ways to like talk about this and have this fight. So like that's what we're gonna be looking to do. So like town elections are coming up. That's a great time to talk about the economy. Like dinner table, you're at a bar. Like start berating someone about tax policy. See who your real friends are.
That's great.
I love
That's
it so
great
much.
advice, yeah.
Any last CTAs? Anything you want people to? Any actions you want people to take coming out of this conversation?
Call or email your senator. Go to oeofnh.org. Our economy, our future. Follow us on socials. All the links are right there. We make it very easy. And thank you to you two. Like until you all have like a bajillion, 1,000 followers and you're all making a ton of money off of this. Like appreciate this is like a labor of love, and like thank you for doing it and like expanding the audience. Like to the infrastructure the right has built. Like these conversations, your platforms are an important piece of that. So like, thank you very much for doing it. Thank you for including me in it. And thank you all for tuning in, and go evangelize because it's New Hampshire and it's fucked up, but like you can make a difference.
Yes. Thank you so much for being here. It's so good to meet you. And good to meet you. Guys, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to everybody who spoke on the panel. We'll update the description of this post with all the details so you can follow everybody.
Absolutely. We'll tag everyone that was involved and all their organizations. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Come out next time. Take a look at what's coming up next. Follow these organizations. See what kind of bills we want to be supporting. Get involved. Come to Concord if you can, if you have the ability. There was only, it was a great turnout today, but there's only like 8 people that testified, to show up. Come up with something to say. These folks will help you. So
we'll be here more often too, right?
Exactly.
We'll hopefully be doing this more often.
And this is fun. This is nice. Come hang out with us after.
Absolutely. We had a lot of fun here. So looking forward to it again.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Pat.
Let's kill it. And thanks, Pat.
You're the best.
Thanks, Pat.